human head. Okay, we can pull him out into neutral alignment, and I can put the padding behind his head and keep him in that position. And it works. And my fingers are spread so I don't lose it, but they're not so far under his head that the padding will interfere, so when he lets, when I take over manual immobilization for him to pull these head straps up, then he's not going to be moved at all, okay? So go ahead. I've already determined that he needed, okay, not a lot of tension, just hold it where there's no weight on the head. Now I can very gently slip this behind him. Continue to hold. Okay, now I want you to hold that until I get his body totally secured. We're not going to immobilize the head first, because when we start fastening all these straps, we're going to move his body around, and we're also going to move his C-spine. So let's start with the shoulder strap. Always start at the top and work your way down. Everything is color-coded. See there? If I was an EMT student, I'd have been in real deep trouble because I almost immobilized him without a seat collar. Hang on. Actual event here. Okay, we already determined ahead of time that the regular size seat collar for him fits properly. When you're using a stiff neck, don't forget on this end, curl it in a little bit. The reason is when you bring this around, let me fasten this first. Okay, when you bring this around to tighten it behind his head, if you don't curl this in, this edge here can catch on it and you think you have it tight and it's not. So curl it in and it makes it easy to adjust. Okay. Now, we've got the collar on him. I'm going to go ahead and start fastening straps. These buckles are adjustable on both ends. We don't want to have two buckles stacked up over the sternum, so what are we going to do? We're going to either move them down or we're going to move them up. If you're going to, as you do this, feed the strap, the webbing into the strap, and you don't have any difficulty as far as moving the patient's body. Go to the green strap. Make sure you hear the click. Once again, we're going to be a little short, so okay. Feed this in there so we don't torque his spine, okay? Go to the upper body strap. They have a white buckle, so you're not going to have any difficulty. I'm going to move your cigarette pack up a little bit higher there. Okay, once again, feed the strap in there so we don't torque his spine. If you go jerking like that, what's going to happen to his spine? Okay, go to the next one. Now bear in mind that these straps, we only need one of these body straps to do this job. So if he's got internal injuries, you don't want to fasten a strap over it, or if he's got a bad rib fracture or whatever, you don't want to fasten a strap over that. So we can leave one of these straps open if necessary. Okay, now the groin straps, tug on them and make sure that they're completely straight. Bring it against the thigh so we don't destroy the family jewels. Fasten the buckle once again. Feed it in there. We make these straps excessively long because we find obese patients that use up all of the webbing that we've got on here.
That shouldn't be a problem in the military though, right?
Not much of a problem in the military, but in tenements in cities you got a real problem.
Go down to Brook Army Hospital.
At this point,
down there.
we want to be securing the patient's head.
Watch if you're talking about the Mecca.
So before he lets go to take these straps, I'm going to do something here that people don't think about. We want to make sure this head does not move. Okay, I've already got this pad back here so he doesn't have to support the weight of the head, he just keeps it still. But I can put my hand here behind the head and reach up here with this hand, brace my wrist or forearm against his chest, and I got a good grip here below the zygoma. Now you can let go, take the head flaps on this device, pull them up securely, get them all the way up there. Now hold them there, but I want you to move your hand downward so I can secure the forehead strap above your hand. Okay? You got it? Okay, you're fine. It's okay. He's not going to move. You don't have to hold too much. Okay. At this point, I'll place the forehead strap. If there's a little extra material sticking over, put that down by the nose. It's wider than the strap. So, okay, get it over the eyebrows. When you pull back firmly, slightly downward, but not much. Okay, now the collar strap. This goes clear behind when we get the thing in a position where we can. Put enough tension on this collar strap that it secures, but not enough to distort the collar itself. And then you know you've got it tight enough and it's secure. But now, what if he has a clavicle fracture? Let's take a look at that. If I can get you to take this underneath here, raise that up about 1 inch, just a little bit. Now I can slide this under here a little higher. There we go. Center this on his shoulders, now let him down. And that's going to protect him from having his shoulders compressed. And instead of crisscrossing here, like I said earlier, the only time we fasten these straps contrary to the color coding is if we want to retract the shoulders. Now, we can, okay? Okay, once we get that snug, the shoulders are retracted and now the clavicle fracture problem has been addressed. If you're concerned that these might come loose, because if you have a real thin patient, you can take these straps and tie them together. That'll hold them in place. Okay, but now we don't have him centered in the stretcher in the right position, but the stretcher is so slippery that it takes very, very little effort to move him. So I can just take the straps below here, pull him up where I want him, make sure he's centered. Now if there was a spinal injury, at this time what I would do, bring the feet together and I'd tie them together. Okay, we want to make sure that there's no movement of that spine. And then we would, after we get the stretcher, or even before, we put some padding in here when we close the stretcher. That effectively makes the stretcher into a longboard. So if there is no spinal injury, we can leave the feet splayed and they'd stick out the end when we're done, okay? If you have a patient with a head injury or other reasons that there might be a violent patient, you want to make sure you don't get kicked. You're not going to straddle this guy and start fastening straps. What I do is I'll lift the strap up while I'm still standing and I can see what's going on. I'll kneel down next to this. Now I've got a deflector here and I can watch what's going on. Reach across and fasten straps. Okay, this is what I was talking about in a situation if you're in a place where you don't have time to thread those buckles. That's what the plastic buckle is for. I've got one at the top end. I'll show you in a second. Are you okay? The one thing, if a patient is immobilized properly, he's not going to be comfortable. You want your hands in or out. Okay, at this point, if we wanted to have an IV, if you have if you don't have a pressure infuser, you can put the IV bag in here, tighten up the stretcher, it'll put pressure on the bag, and it will put fluids into the body. Also keep the tube inside here so that you don't have any brush or anything snag it and pull it out. Okay, now, pull that up where it's snug. Don't worry about this. If you had a spinal injury, that'll all be padded and this would be out. But we leave it loose so that if you have to use mask trousers or whatever, you can do it. Now I don't want to put this across his wrist like this because I'm going to cut off circulation. So if his arms are going to be out, I'll pull them up a little bit higher. And if it's if it's an unconscious patient, I'd make sure his hands were down inside. And the snug straps around the patient in this stretcher keeps the stretcher quite rigid. Okay. Now, as I was saying earlier, you don't want to, if you don't have time to do that kind of stuff, we've got these plastic buckles that we can put this male part clear down here out of the way if we're using the metal ones, or if you need